Welcome back. Today's video is all about meditative misunderstandings, those mistakes we might pick up here and there from other systems which are a little bit off, a little bit misunderstood. And because of that, it affects our meditations, it affects the direction we go inside meditation, and it can often lead us astray. And if we can correct those little things, our meditations have the potential to take off for us and be a whole lot deeper and better. So I want to cover a bunch of misunderstandings in the hope that this will help your meditations as it has the student I just talked with yesterday. So let's get into it. So I was talking with a yogini, and she said that she came into meditation and she heard over and over again that any light that she sees in meditation, that she should ignore it. And I said, no, it's a sign that you're getting deep. And it's a road sign. It's not the goal, but it's a wonderful road sign. You don't have to ignore it. In fact, you can embrace it. And if you embrace it wholeheartedly and surrender into it, you can actually lead to an absorption and a samadhi in the light. And so why would you ignore that? Of course you wouldn't, right? But a lot of sites are out there on the internet will tell you, and a lot of books, well-meaning books, will tell you, ignore the light. Now, why do they do that? They do that because they're coming from a very strict Buddhist tradition. And that tradition is correct in their understanding. They won't say it this way, but their understanding is they only want the right brain. They only want the expansive union experience. And so everything else they throw out. But when you're a traveler along the way and you find one master that can lead you that way, well, it might work for you and that person. But when you try and multiply that and put it in a book, it can often lead people in the wrong direction. So you're telling them, go into meditation and ignore everything that comes up for you. And that doesn't work well for a lot of people. And so the light of the spiritual eye is actually a road sign. It's not the end-all be-all at all. In fact, you can go into an absorption, you can go into a samadhi and never witness the light. Now you might be in a samadhi and you might see things, or you might not, or you might just experience a union. But the thing is, you didn't have to experience the spiritual eye. But do you throw it away if it comes to you? Of course not. A lot of yogis will spend years developing the spiritual eye to make sure that they can see it, and then they will use it as a tool in meditation. They will use it as an object of concentration. Now, when I say concentration, I don't mean concentration like this. That's another misunderstanding of meditation. I've got to concentrate like this, and that will lead to strain. And strain awakens the sympathetic nervous system. That's the system of fight and flight. So now you're trying to awaken the parasympathetic, the system of healing, right? And you're trying to do something so powerfully that you're awakening the sympathetic. So now you are defeating yourself. You are at odds with yourself. And you're defeating your own meditation. So that's a no-no, right? So when you see the light of the spiritual eye, you can go, oh, this is that road sign. This is wonderful. I am going deep. I am interiorized. I am seeing the light. And I can look at this light and expand with it. I can let it fill me up. And that filling up of your brain, that filling up of your being with that light will deepen your meditation. And so it's a tool for the yogi or the yogini, right? It's a tool to go deeper. The other misunderstanding that this person I talked with the other day, she said that I was told my body has to be awake. And so what would happen was she would go into an awake state and then her body would begin to drift away. And you got, oh no, I can't let my body drift away. My body has to be awake, right? And so she would begin pinching herself to awaken her body back up because it was becoming numb in the freeze response. So she was actually going deeper than what she was being told about, and she didn't understand it. So here, another misunderstanding. Your body has to be awake. Yes, when you enter into the rapture of concentration, your sensations inside of your body will peak. And those are the 4 proofs, right? The hands hot and heavy, tingling in the lips, the feeling of pressure on the dorsal vagal complex, a blissful pressure, and tingling in the skin. All of those are part of what the Buddhists are talking about when they talk about the rapture of concentration. They might not use those words, but the idea is the same. As you deepen in meditation, the sensations in your body will become more profound. And part of that is the carbon-oxygen exchange that's taking place in the body. So you're getting better oxygen exchange. You're lowering your heart rate, which means everything inside of the body works more efficiently. And because of that, the body starts feeling really good. And so that's that heightened awareness inside of the body. And that will peak, and then it will start to go away in the freeze response. So the dorsal vagal complex becomes awake, and then it starts overpowering the left brain. It starts overpowering your preoccupation with the body. And the body begins to fade from your awareness. And that's the freeze response. All right, so it peaks, and then it goes down. And so you don't need to pinch yourself at that point. You can pinch yourself when you come out and go, oh my God, I went into the freeze response. I can't believe it. This is so amazing and beautiful. Another common, huge misunderstanding is around breathlessness. I have to stop my breath. I have to stop my heart. This is a wrong understanding of breathlessness, all right? It's a very wrong misunderstanding. The best way to think about the breath is you want to enter into a sleep-like state. So first of all, we want the heart rate variability resonance, and then very gradually, we want to enter into the tranquil breath. And the tranquil breath as if you're watching somebody sleep and you cannot notice their breath. The breath becomes so subtle, so shallow, so diaphragmatic, way, way down, right? All of that takes place in somebody when they're they're in the freeze response as they are sleeping. And so the breath goes very, very low. And this is why I talk about this very low idle state, right? The engine is not revving. It's very, very low in a low idle state. That's what the body enters into. And so you'll witness this breath inside of yourself and you'll go, oh my God, it's getting really shallow and just, oh my God, it's so tranquil. That's why we call it the tranquil breath. It's a wonderful thing, and that is the beginning of what the yogis are talking about. Things get so slow, that breath gets, eventually, there are layers to the tranquil breath, and eventually that breath gets so slow and so long that you can't see it. It's actually still there. And the heart as well. The heart gets so slow and so long in its beats that you don't really notice it. And so the heart is stopped. Nothing stops. All right? Everything is in constant motion. Nothing stops. The heart does not stop. The breath does not stop. It appears to stop because the beats are taking so long. And the breath is going so slow and so long. It appears to stop. And the thing is, at that point, when you're that low, you don't care. You don't care about breathlessness. You don't care about the body. You've already lost it. You're already in the freeze response. So this preoccupation with breathlessness is a yogic insanity. It's a yogic misnomer. It's a yogic misunderstanding. And so you don't need it. All you need is the tranquil breath. All right? Another thing, people will say ignore bliss. Can you imagine? Doesn't that sound strange on my channel? Ignore bliss. Here again, they want to only focus on one thing. We're just going to hold on to that right brain because it's so elusive and we want it so badly. I'm just going to hold on to that one thing, that right brain, that non-dual state, those immaterial jhanas. I'm only going to hold on to those and I'm going to forget everything else. Well, yes. That's extremely important. But ignoring bliss is not a good idea. I disagree with this. I disagree with this very strongly. First of all, the bliss will clean you out. The bliss, as it comes through you and you feel that bliss, it helps your psychology immensely. And that cleans you out, and that clears the way for the roll-up of consciousness back into the brain. All right? So first of all, it's helping your psychology. Second of all, it's deepening your meditations. Third of all, if you don't have bliss, you won't go into a full samadhi because you're not clear. So you can get really deep into an absorption, but you may not go into a samadhi because you're ignoring bliss. So on this channel, we don't ignore bliss, do we? Because it's a mistake. I believe it's a mistake. The way the brain works, it's a mistake. Another thing to ignore inspiration. So you're in a meditation, and all of a sudden you hit that download phase. I have a video on this, the download phase, right? We all know what I'm talking about, I hope. So if you don't know, go back, watch the download phase. It's fascinating. You hit the right hippocampus, you hit the right brain, and all of a sudden you start to know these things. You start to download and put together things that you hadn't put together, you hadn't been able to put together before previously, because the right brain is a spatial processor. It's a multiprocessor, while the left brain is a very straightforward linear processor, and it's very slow because of that. And the right brain creates connections that just they just explode, right? So it starts putting things together for you that you never thought possible to be able to put together. And so it's very easy to say, oh my God, well, God gave that to me. Oh my God, the higher self gave that to me. Because you can't understand how I went from this to just knowing all of this. It's just crazy. All of that is because of the right brain and the way that it processes. So as you hit that download phase, then all of a sudden these things come to you. Now you're in the freeze response, you're in meditation, you're halfway in, and you're like, what do I do? Do I come out? This is very relevant for me. What do I do? Do I come out and write this down? Do I finish my meditation? What do I do? So at this point, you have to have a conversation with your higher self. And this is what I did. I said, Divine Mother, please, when I'm in meditation, would you give me the download at the end? Please? I'm so thankful for the download. But could you please put it at the end of the meditation as I'm coming out of the absorption, out of the samadhi state, out of the union state, as I'm coming out of that? Would you organize it that way? And if you keep asking yourself, your higher self, which has your highest intention, it will listen to you. And so now the vast majority of my downloads come at the end of the meditation because I asked. But it won't always happen that way for you, and you're gonna be in a meditation and you're like, oh my God, this is so big. What do I do? Well, I would keep a pad of paper and a pen right next to your meditation chair in case something hits you like this and you're like, I have to write this down. This is extremely relevant. I don't want to forget. And so just go ahead and write it down because it's transformative. And that's what meditation is supposed to be. It's supposed to be transformative. Of course, we don't want to be in a habit of every 5 minutes writing something down from meditation. Now, you might have a couple days like that, but hopefully we don't have a month like that, right? Because that's a little bit distracting. And now our meditation would be shifting towards only inspiration. I'm getting away from perhaps my goal of a samadhi, right? I'm getting away from my goal of union. But this is really relevant at the same time. So you kind of have to balance. So some people are saying, don't balance, just hold on to the samadhi because that's the most important. And I get that. But if you ignore the inspiration and you never write it down, well, you're missing out on this huge component of the transformative qualities of meditation. So you're going into yourself and then you're ignoring yourself. You're ignoring your higher self and the messages that it's giving to you in the download phase. Doesn't that seem like a mistake? Well, it is. It's a mistake. And so you want to be able to write those things down. That's okay. And then try and talk to your higher self. Please, would you help me and organize this so it comes at the end of my meditation rather than dead center in the middle. I don't want to have to move. And I want to be able to write it down. Sometimes we can just say, you know what? I'm going to remember this. It's going to come right up to you. You're going to help me. And this is I'm going to step out of meditation and it's going to hit me like a ton of bricks. And I'm going to remember this. I'm going to write it down. And, hopefully that works out for you. But when it's really important, just go ahead and write it down because it's important to you. And that's the transformative quality of meditation. Oh my God. So people will tell you, you have to have Kundalini. You have to have Kundalini if you're going to have awakening. You have to have it. Well, they're right, but they're misunderstanding and they're wrong. All right? So the correct part is that you do have to have this internal capacity to feel things inside of yourself. One of my students, he goes, it felt like a whole new world had opened up inside of me that I was never aware of. Boom, that's it. That is the Kundalini awakening. That's the inner universe opening up to you and you feeling inside of yourself like you weren't able to do before. It's a whole new world inside of your own body. That is the awakening, all right? It's not the full-blown enlightenment, okay? No, of course not. It's the awakening of the internal perception. And so that has to happen, all right? In one tiny little form or another, that awakening inside has to be there. We have to be sensitive in order to meditate deeply. The other thing that has to happen is the roll-up of consciousness. Now, you can feel that with it energy. So Dubeji, my Param guru, he wrote a book called Kriya Yoga. And he said, I witnessed from the third center. So he felt himself. He felt his sense of self as if he was sitting in the third chakra and he was watching the energy go up and down. And then he said, I joined with it and I went up. So you have two things there. You have energy and you have the movement of the sense of self, the movement of consciousness. Two things. It's not the energy which is required for a samadhi or enlightenment. What is required is the roll-up of the consciousness back into the brain. The consciousness has to rise and go into the brain. You don't have to feel energy all the time. You have to notice that you feel lifted up and you're free of the body. You're in a very deep freeze response and the body is fading away until it fades away completely in an absorption. That is required. Feeling the energy go up and down all the time is not required. So a Kundalini yogi that tells you that, they're wrong. It's only the consciousness which is required, all right? Another thing, somebody's having a Kundalini experience and I have to power through it. People will tell you, just power through it. Oh my goodness. Okay, so you're sensitive to internal things, but now I'm not going to be sensitive. I'm just going to power through something and pretend I'm a brick. You're not a brick. You just became sensitive, and you have to be sensitive to yourself. You have to be sensitive to the process. You have to ground a lot. Go out, walk in nature. Go get your feet in the dirt if you can. Go put your feet in the sand. Go put in your feet in the ocean or at the beach or something. And be in nature and ground and feel whole. You need that quite a bit because you're learning to balance a lot of new things inside of yourself that you were not previously aware of or conscious of. And that's a process. It's a process and you can't force that process. It has to be something easy and natural and take your time, of course. And every night, like I say, create a relationship with your higher self and say, would you please tone that one down? That one's good. I like that one. You can lift that one up. But this one, would you tone that one down? And ask. Create that relationship. You're not alone. And there's lots of people going through this, oh my God, I'm juggling all these new things. It's a lot. Yes, it is. And it's okay. And it's natural. Just let it be. And you cannot power through it. No. Some people will tell you, forget the body. Yes, in the second step, right? First, the concentration goes up and you feel the body more and more. You get more and more sensitive internally. You start feeling these 4 proofs. I gave you 4 things to really concentrate on because they're blissful, right? And then it goes down. So yeah, then we're going to lose the body. We're going to forget the body. But in the beginning, we want to use the body as a tool to help us know that we're in the parasympathetic. And that's what the Buddhists are talking about when they talk about the rapture of concentration, right? We already talked about that. People will say, don't control the breath, just watch it. You can do that. That's okay. But if you control the breath and get into heart rate variability and lower your heart rate, you're going to skip about 20 years if you're a new meditator, possibly 40 years. So it's a very big deal. If you can get into heart rate variability by controlling your breath, doing the breath cycle that I teach, right, in the Resonant Breathing app, pick the one which is comfortable for you. Yeah, not the one that you want, the one which is comfortable for you. That will set you up to lower the heart rate. You can't enter into strain with that. You have to pick the one which is comfortable for you. So people will say, don't control the breath. Yes, that's the second phase. First, you lower the heart rate by lowering the breath rate, entering in that heart rate variability resonance. Then you can forget about the breath because you're already in a deep place. That's the place to let go and kind of feel yourself expanding. All right? But at first, it's very, very helpful to control the breath. So, different ways of going about it, but if you control it first and then let go, it's so much easier and so much faster, and you will skip so much time trying to learn how to meditate. People will tell you, you have to meditate long, power through it, and just meditate long. How many? 1 hour, 2 hours? I've heard 6 hours. You have to meditate every day 6 hours or don't talk to me. Oh my goodness. If you power through sitting in meditation, you will enter into the sympathetic system. Guaranteed. You will enter into fight or flight. Now you're in conflict. You're trying to awaken the parasympathetic, and you're awakening the sympathetic as you do it. This doesn't compute. It does not make sense, and your body is in conflict. You will not have a good meditation. It is much better to do shorter meditations. What's short for you? Maybe half an hour is comfortable for you. Go for half an hour. Maybe an hour is comfortable for you. Go for an hour. Maybe 5 minutes is your peak, and you're proud of yourself for that. Yes, that's awesome. If you do 5 minutes of heart rate variability resonance, you will make an impact on yourself, and you'll start feeling so good. I think I can do 10. So you'll do 10, and then, oh my God, I love this so much. I'm gonna do 15. I love this so much. I'm gonna do 20. And that's how you build on it. You build on your success. You don't force your way through. You can't. You're awakening the wrong system. It has to be the parasympathetic. This is a fundamental understanding. If you don't get this, you can mess up all different kinds of meditations. You have to awaken the parasympathetic system. If you awaken the fight or flight, if you force yourself in any way, you will awaken the incorrect system inside of your central nervous system, and the whole meditation will be a wash. So it's much better to do short, comfortable meditations. It's much better to pick the breath which is comfortable for you than trying to power through anything. We have to be gentle and kind to ourselves and patient with ourselves. All of these are virtues of meditation, and the process will help you to create more and more of them, and they will benefit your life dramatically. So I hope this clears up a lot of misunderstandings. A lot of times what people are saying is correct, some, but they're missing the larger picture. So I hope that I gave that to you today. You can have a wider view of meditation that helps you make a more informed choice in the actions that you take inside of your meditation. So I hope you love this. If you did, be sure to hit that bell down below so I can see you next time.